He doesn't ship bikes, but he ships everything but a full bike. All accessories, the whole works. He has all his in-house website development, a real entrepreneurial story, local boy doing well, so to speak. And he, in his business, he could be anywhere in the United States that he wants to be. And he elected to stay right where he grew up and where his roots are. And he picked a good location. And like Mr. Gordon said, he has the opportunity to expand if he needs additional warehouse space out there or whatever. But you see these videos about things gone wild. Well, that's motorcycle parts gone wild. Is what it really is. So we're real proud of him. And he was one of our first electronic commerce zone applicants, and that's the reason we have the hottest zone, e-commerce zone in the state, is because of people like Don. So. Yeah. And I wanted to blow his trumpet for him a little bit. Yeah. So.
And I'd recommend if any of you bump into anybody that works there or is associated with them, at least just thank them, because that is a really good organization that he's put together. Can I move on?
Yes, please.
Okay. Your council officers met in mid-June with the school district, school board, and staff. There were just a lot of updating because we hadn't met with them for a couple months. Discussion on district fees and using the central gym to the wetlands mitigation project between what I'm calling Triangle Park now, since I don't know if a fire station can ever go at that location. I'm just anyway. They updated that, talked about weeds being too high in areas, but anyway, what I really wanted to leave you with, at least Brian has put together an agreement with the school district that everybody's currently reviewing. That'll put us into some projects that are not projects, but settings that will help both the city and the school district. Not to the degree that we used to have, parks, city parks and school district relationship, but this is more about access to the land to meet each other's needs. I'd be happy to answer any questions on the meetings that we had with 549C. They're mostly informational, but they're also helpful because it's amazing how many common problems and issues that we do have. And lastly, I'd like to just brief you on Coho in Jackson County. Apparently, they're on the endangered species list for Jackson County. And I was at a LOAC meeting, which is local officials advisory committee to the DLCD and LCDC. And apparently, FEMA is looking at putting in regs to protect the coho in Jackson County and their breeding areas especially. They don't want to lose any more habitat. So the regs that apparently they are considering, which will probably take another 2 years or so before it even gets to us, but they are really looking at having an impact from the top of the bank in areas that could be used by coho. Again, they're not looking at forcing anybody to leave their homes or anything, but they will be looking at not losing any more habitat. And they're looking at 170 feet from top of bank. I think everybody at the LOAC meeting said that they would, they would probably adjust that over a period of time, but I just wanted to let you know that we've got the federal government, it appears, that is getting involved in a new area that potentially will affect the city of Medford, and that's the only reason I'm bringing it up.
Thank you, Mr. Gordon. Further committee reports? Okay. Thank you very much. Remarks?
Your Honor,
Mr. Densmore.
I wasn't sure whether the city manager was going to bring this up under manager's report, but the Senator Merkley's office reached out to us some time back and asked us with regard to the upcoming reauthorization of transportation services in the country, did we have any suggestions, specific suggestions on how the federal process might work more harmoniously and less costly for us in the city? And at each of your places, you should have received a brief copy of 5 suggestions that Corey has made. And what I'd like is for you to take a look at those, and if they meet with your approval, we would like to recommunicate to the senator's staff that here are some specific suggestions that as you write the transportation bill would be a benefit not only to the city of Medford but municipalities across the country. Corey, did you want to highlight any of them? Or, I mean, basically it's, if I were to paraphrase a common theme, it's let us do these projects, especially as they apply the local portions, with a minimum amount of federal interference and cost.
And that's a good way to paraphrase it. Thanks for the opportunity. One thing you have to remember is if any federal money touches the project right now, in public works parlance, it poisons all other funds that go into the project because now they all have to be spent according to the federal rules, which is far less efficient than other projects. As far as the environmental permitting, South Hawley is the current poster child in the city of Medford. If we thought we were going to get environmental permits 5 or 6 months ago, what we got was news from National Marine Fisheries that we needed to go back and do more environmental permit work. And this is after I don't remember exactly when we did the transportation facility public hearing with the neighbors for that project, but chances are that some of them will have either passed away or moved by the time we actually start that project, and simply because of the environmental permitting process, which is going to take us 4 years by the time we're done, which costs every day a delay costs money. Anyway, thanks for the opportunity to highlight a couple of the issues.
So if it's okay, I'd like to have you, if you have a few minutes, look at it this afternoon, and then I would like to perhaps consider a motion to endorse this list and communicate it to Senator Merkley's staff.
Thanks, Ed. Further remarks? Mr. Gordon.
Thank you, Your Honor. Springbrook, north of Delta Waters, which the gentleman was speaking about earlier on. I don't know about Al or other members of the council, but I certainly am on their list of contactees. And I personally don't know a lot about what's going on over in that area as far as the final configuration of the streets. And I would certainly appreciate a briefing and, if necessary, an opportunity to bring back any thoughts to the council prior to us making any final changes in the current Springbrook north of Delta Waters.
Mr. Dow.
Maybe Corey could come to the podium again. I'm not sure what you mean by any final changes to Springbrook north of Delta Waters. If you could provide some specificity.
Right now it's a residential street with parking on both sides. We've had a number of people, I think, talk to us here, and I have some concerns about if, in fact, we're eliminating all on-street parking on Springbrook, because for several reasons. Among them is that we've eliminated all on-street parking on Delta Waters, so those houses close to Springbrook, but on Delta Waters that's how they've gotten away with having extra parking, I think we're putting an undue burden if we're not careful with how we handle Springbrook, and that's my concern.
Go ahead, Mike.
Do you have anything you can offer? That?
I would just say, first of all, my understanding is the council directed us to go talk to the neighbors, which Public Works is currently doing. We did do tube counts. The average daily trips on a weekday out there are 1,900 on Springbrook, which is considered within the realm of local street. It is designated as a collector on the TSP. The cross-section was built as a collector street. So the question is, do you need, and of course the TSP and RTP require that we have bicycle facilities. On all collector and arterial streets, there are a couple of exceptions, which would be Barnett, and we have the Larson Creek path parallel to Barnett to account for that corridor. Another one is Crater Lake, and you've already heard the Sharrow's proposal from the Bicycle and Pedestrian Committee, which was charged with finding a parallel route to Crater Lake. Other than that, we have been installing bike lanes on the city's collectors and arterials over time in order to meet the alternative measures required by DLCD to get our TSP approved. So in the meantime, we are working with the residents. I am examining with my staff whether we want to do that, whether we want to continue to pursue the restriping, whether we want to examine alternatives that might work, or whether we want to do anything we do in conjunction with the realignment project at Springbrook and Delta Waters, which is likely once again to change traffic patterns out there. So, one of the things I've discussed with the engineering division staff is let's not go do something that isn't going to work if that realignment